Are you an audiophile or are you a collector? We're talking about that today, plus the pros and cons of streaming music, finding time to spin records, and tons more. This is a jam-packed episode, so sit back, relax, because I'll be right back. Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome to Channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl gear and more. Welcome to a segment of Ask Me Anything, AMA. I typically do these episodes with my wife, Sherry, Mrs. Channel 33 RPM, but we're shaking things up, 33ers, shaking things up. It's always good to get to do things a little differently once in a while, and that's what we're doing here. Sherry will be on future episodes of Ask Me Anything, occasionally, not necessarily all of them. However, she is also, in exchange, going to co-host some episodes of Vinyl Dens. Vinyl Dens are those segments where we check out cool music rooms from across the vinyl community and around the world. I think it'd be cool to get a woman's perspective on some of those rooms. So, something to look forward to. Stick around for that. Again, today we're doing AMA, Ask Me Anything. I got 4 really interesting questions, so let's get right into them.
Dear 33ers, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. A thumbs up also helps this channel continue to grow. I appreciate your support.
Okay, this first one comes from viewer Jim Wicks, who's down in Florida. And he says, would you describe yourself as an audiophile or a collector? This is a really good question, and I'm going to kind of cheat with my answer because I would say I'm both, but neither. Let me explain. So first, audiophile, that word has sort of developed a negative connotation over the years, to the point where when many of us think of an audiophile, we think of a middle-aged man with more money, perhaps, than common sense, spending thousands of dollars on products that may or may not make any difference to the overall sound, and sort of purchasing snake oil, for lack of a better term. So maybe it's because of that negative connotation that I've sort of shied away from the term audiophile. I'll get to more on that in a second. And the other one is a collector. So, I mean, yes, I'm a collector, but I also think there's sort of also a negative connotation to that word as well, where oftentimes when we think of a collector, we think of someone accumulating items, in this case, records, for the sake of accumulating items. I've been working really hard not to become that person, and maybe in the past I was approaching that, but as longtime viewers of this channel will know, I recently did a mini purge of the collection. I'm really concentrating on purchasing records I know I will like and I will listen to. So, as I said, I'm I guess neither an audiophile nor a collector in that sense, but I'm also both. Because I think about it, in its truest sense, an audiophile, I think, is someone who appreciates good quality sound. And like many of you, this is a journey I've embarked upon because it really never ends, right? Like when you're a kid, you kind of start here with, not the best record player, and as the years go by, you kind of build up your equipment and continually, I guess the idea is to improve it as the years go by. A phrase I've used to describe myself is frugophile, and that's sort of taking the terms frugal and audiophile, because I definitely want to continually improve my listening experience. However, I'm doing it on a budget. I don't have thousands of dollars to drop on gear, so the money I do spend, I have to spend wisely. So I look for deals. So I'm kind of going round and around here. So am I an audiophile? In the truest sense of wanting a good listening experience, I would say yes. Am I a collector, or am I a collector? I mean, I think it can be both. I want a good listening experience and I want to have a good record collection, but I do shy away from buying items just for the sake of owning them, if that makes any sense. Are you an audiophile or are you a collector? Let's talk about it in the comments below. So this next question comes from Hove9. What are your plans for storage as your collection outgrows your record room? Will you get rid of some records? Will you claim a bigger room in your house? This kind of keeps going full circle and kind of back to this same conversation where, my shelves behind me were getting full, and again, like many of you over the year, I just keep buying more and more shelves, to the point where I found myself in a situation where many of my records I wasn't going to listen to again. And I didn't really want to get any more shelves in this room. It's a 10 by 10 foot room. It's kind of maxed out in size. I guess I could put another row on top, but I didn't really want to go there. So as you know, a couple months ago I went through an exercise where I did a purge of the collection. I sold a couple hundred records, and I don't really want to grow it much beyond these shelves. I got room for, I don't know, a few hundred more records. They're probably what I will do at that point. I don't know. I've slowed down considerably on my purchases where, maybe this year I've maybe only bought 6 or 7 records. So say I buy a record a month, 12 records. It'd take me a considerable amount of time to buy 200-300 records. So I'm not quite thinking that far ahead yet. But again, I don't want to get much beyond these. If I do, I guess I can do overflow in the next room. I'm in the basement. Next door is kind of the TV watching area, and there's some shelving there I could potentially use. But, that's kind of my goal, is to be selective about what I buy and to kind of use the space I have and to make the best use of that space, if that makes sense. I'm loving today's questions. These are great. They really get you thinking. This next one comes from Lee J. Menard. He says, what are your thoughts on music streaming, quality, etc.? Also, what services do you use? So streaming, it's funny because in a sense, streaming is almost like a swear word in the vinyl community. It's almost a 4-letter word. Not amongst everyone, but amongst certain people. And I've never shied away from streaming. I use Spotify. I have a family account on Spotify. And I also I used Tidal. I just recently canceled my subscription. But I dig both services. And let's start with Spotify first. I have the family thing. So I have an account. My kids each have an account. My wife has an account. And I really use Spotify as a music discovery tool, one. And I also use it to stream albums I know and love. And I also use it to listen to podcasts. There are so many bands and artists you can explore on any of these streaming services. It's really, I was going to say I'm a kid in a candy store, but sometimes it's overwhelming. There's so much choice, but it's a great way to discover new artists. And I do that all the time. And typically if I find an artist I really love or an album I really love, I will then go and purchase it. I stream from my phone to my Bluetooth stereo in my vehicle. There was a time when I would only listen to CDs in the car. And I don't listen to CDs in the vehicle at all anymore. I still love CDs. I still collect CDs, but they would get damaged in the vehicle. They get knocked around and scuffed up. So I'm happy not to bring those in the vehicle. And in terms of Spotify, to my ears, I can't really tell the difference between a CD and the Spotify stream in my vehicle. There's so much road noise. To me, it doesn't make, there's no audible difference. And so I'm totally cool with streaming music in the vehicle, particularly on my commute to work. Back to Tidal. So I did have a Tidal membership for the last little while, and I'd stream it on my computer here in my music room / home office. And I'd stream it. You might see it over there. I bought this wireless NAD streamer where I would plug one end into the back of my computer. I plug the other end into my receiver, and I would, as the name suggests, wirelessly stream high definition audio from my computer to my stereo system. But I thought Tidal offered a great service, particularly sort of their high definition HQ masters, whatever they're called. They sounded fantastic. I'm not ruling out the possibility of getting Tidal again. Just for the time being, I didn't really feel I needed the two services, but they're both great, I think, and they both serve two distinctive purposes, and both are well worth exploring. I'm rambling here, guys. This next question comes from Greg Granario. Greg writes, can you do a segment on when you record files find time to listen to LPs? This is a good question, and this is one I've touched upon before, and that's the whole issue of time management. And actually, records are or they can be such an immersive experience. We just talked about streaming, and streaming can be something you have going on in the background. And I guess records kind of can as well. However, they remind you every 22 minutes or so that's time to stand up and physically flip it over. And so records, I suggest, are a much more immersive experience and therefore really demand more of your attention and more of your time. So how do you find time for it? How do you find time to dedicate to these 12-inch slabs of wax? Well, it's been easier lately because many of us have been working from home as this world situation has evolved. So I started working from home in March, and I have an office job. When I work from home, this is my office/music room, so I often spin records as I'm working. And again, I guess in that context, it's more of background noise. It's not as immersive as I would like it to be. But beyond that, typically, especially on a Friday night has traditionally been my music listening night. So I'll come down here and like really, really pay attention and listen attentively to the records I'm spinning. I might pour myself, a red wine or some Crown Royal on the rocks and just really, really get into it and really listen to it. To truly appreciate vinyl and this whole hobby and to critically listen to music, I think you have to make a point of setting that time aside to do it. So that's what I do. In regular non-world pandemic times, it's certainly more difficult to kind of carve out those hours in the day. We're all busy. I'm not sure about you guys, but I have a house and a large property to maintain and kids to help out and drive places and help with our homework and pets, and love spending time with my wife and friends and watching movies. So, it's something on the list is listening to music and spinning tunes, but it's a matter of prioritizing and figuring out what you want to do and carving out the time to do it. Oh, I talked too much, dear 33ers. Let me know what you thought of today's episode in the comments below. If you dug it, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you have any questions for a future episode of AMA, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope each and every one of you has a fantastic week. It feels great to be back. Until next time, dear 33ers, keep on spinning.